What's up? Welcome back. Oh man, it's been a while. It's been a it's been a long time. Even to this fact that at this point right now, um, let's see if I turn this gain down like that. Does that work? Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Even to the point of that, I just spent the past. I don't even know how long. I'll put at the end of the podcast. I'll put a little like fast forwarded video of me trying to figure out why I wasn't getting any volume in the mic and why I wasn't getting any sound. And I'm looking and I go to grab this cord and I follow it and I realize that it's on the ground. So yeah, wasn't even plugged in. So definitely have to shake some of the rust off. But welcome to Ocean Waves podcast here. Brought to you by Oceans on Arrival. For those who don't know, for those of you who've been waiting for this moment, for the return, very much appreciate you if you came back. I mean, I completely understand anyone who doesn't come back because it's been since like August, I think, or something like that, since I did one, or since the Ocean Waves episode came out. I can't even remember now. But for those of you who are new to the pod, welcome. My name is Ryan, Indigo Ryan the Navigator, also part of Oceans on Arrival. And yeah, this is a platform to speak freely, to incept natural conversation that is already happening in my or our day to day. That I think overall, especially between Jason and I, we have like conversations that most people or people who like to be flies on the wall for certain things, certain conversations. I like to listen to Joe Rogan or Theo Vaughn and not necessarily every episode, but the episodes that they have people or guests that I'm like, oh, this would be a good conversation, or oh, I want to hear what they have to say or whatnot. Just really time. I don't have that much time to be watching all those, especially if I'm also have a podcast and I also, am, making music and got to go to work still. And because until this pays for rent, got to still go to the third dimensional job and do that. So in that sense, I don't like to spend too much time because I don't also want to do what other people are doing, but there's points from each one. And I think, overall, this feels like chapter 3 of the podcast. We had chapter 1 was, the beginning, the first one, all those beginning ones, even like that first room, both those first rooms that we're in, like even this now, we're in, I guess, let me go linear. So we were in that room over there and had the futons, and in the beginning, like my true inception for the pod was to have four of us who were around at the time, to come together every week, and the conversations that we're already having, just throw a microphone in front of it and then filter, your thoughts and the feelings through the microphone in a way that people can receive them, and it doesn't hit any red flags within people or YouTube. More or less just YouTube, because you don't want stuff to get taken down and whatever. People are gonna, view things however they view them. So it's not particularly really up to you. But, there's smart ways to narrate or to express how you feel in a way that that can't be attacked so quickly and people miss the point because you said this one little thing in there, So, but we had great conversations anyway, and I just figured that, I was like, I know deep down that I'm like one to start the pod, and I felt like, this is a space that I'm been growing in, and we're we've gotten better over time, and it's only gonna get better, and I do want uh I do want to get to the point where potentially can live off of it, have conversations with vast amount of people, different people, but so then from the first, then we moved into this room, right? And we had the different couches in here, and it was still the same four, right? But then it started to become like down to two, and then just me, and then I was like, oh, I need guests, and boom, boom, boom. So we were in this room. We didn't have these futons in here, so all around, like even to this now, like this is just one angle that we could do. There's angles for multiple people, I'm not even sure how good this angle is right now, just because it's late, and I just wanted to come in here and do one, get back in here, get the juices flowing, and so I'm not 100% sure. I'm not really too pressed either, but then once it got to just really being me, I had the original, even now, the original or foundation of why this is even occurring is still the same, and it's to have a platform for people and us to speak freely, to speak our thoughts. I know that like the year before I started the podcast is when I started watching podcasts. So I went back and caught up on ones that it would really be like a clip on Instagram that got me intrigued, and I go watch that one, doesn't matter how old it was or whatever. And boom, boom, and then I watched the new ones coming out, and then I was like, dang, we could do, like, we have good conversations already. Ooh, and I started realizing this is a space that I could be in. And at the same time, I also know that, particularly every once in a while, it's cool for me to come in here and do this, where it's like, drop my thoughts, talk to myself almost, but also know that other people are going to hear it. So it's not fully private, and I can do that, and we can spitball thoughts, feelings, ideas, and, and I got better at that over time as well, just because I had to, and this ship doesn't sail without me doing anything, so I have to do it. Now obviously I don't have to do it. I didn't do it for the past whatever, and I'm still alive, and I'm still whatever, but at the same time, I know that, this is something within my spirit that I'm supposed to be doing, so therefore I do it because I know I have to do what I should be doing and fulfill purpose and all those things. And if I don't do that, then life becomes, negative. And yeah, I'm watching Game 6 of the Stanley Cup right now too. So it's already happened. I don't know what happened, but we'll see. So if I peek over, it's just once in a while, because I didn't feel like sitting there watching the whole game, honestly. But once it got to the point where it's just me, and then it was like, how many conversations can I have with myself? And I'm in this space, and there's some things particularly that like couldn't really be spoken on the microphone. So now I'm like trying to avoid those when I'm talking, and and then I missed a week, and I'd spent so long like getting back to like where it was one per week since the beginning, the first week it came out. And I did catch up, and you know, and then a couple weeks went by. So then, I'm like, okay, I got to do it. I'll have to do like two per week for a couple weeks. Boom, boom. Which is cool, but it's just extra pressure. And now, if I would have just done one per week, then there would be no pressure. But I didn't, obviously, for whatever reasons. Life, in some ways, for like almost honestly, since August, I pretty much kind of took a vacation from uh being Indigo Ryan the Navigator, and just kind of went back to just being like playing third dimensional Ryan. Not that I'm third dimensional in mind, in thought, but just like, no one knows, not many people know who I am. No one cares about the music. These are the thoughts back then. Uh, I'm just a bartender and an uncle and whatever. Boom, boom. Just like went there. And in that time, I had honestly, what happened was I had lost something, and I had this gray cloud over my head, and life just felt dark and sad and whatever. And and then once I didn't do it for a couple weeks, then my dad helped me fly to Canada to go see my grandma because she wasn't doing so hot, and he honestly like nursed her back to health that week that he was there. And then we drove up like a month later so she could meet her great grandson, and and not long after that she ended up passing away. So throughout all these things, it's like I'm traveling back and forth from the South all the way to Canada, and it's like there's so much going on, and then I'm a couple weeks behind. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do another gauntlet. But then it was like the amount of time and energy to do all that, and it's like I just didn't really have the mental space or energy to not only speak but also edit and post, and then also when I am speaking, for it to be like anything worth really people hearing, because like a lot of the stuff was me just going through my going in circles in some way, but I just couldn't find out. And then and I'm also know I'm someone who's positive, and like pushing that. So to come on the platform and then be negative, it's like that wasn't really, at times there might be good you can't be fake, gotta be real. But at the same time, it's like, what are we influencing? And I know that these thoughts float on and on and on. So I want to make sure I'm putting out positive thoughts, or at least purposeful meaning behind these thoughts, that even if it is a negative thought, it's for a purpose that in turn becomes positive, hopefully, right? So, and then just to travel back and forth, and I was just like, all right, when all this is done, like I'll come back and I'll do it. And this is like, now it's like December, like all this happened like around Christmas and that time, like holiday season. So then it's New Year's, boom, okay, 2025, New Year, cool, whoop whoop. I ended up cutting like the back and sides of my hair, and then recently I was deciding whether I should like recut it down for the summer or whatever, and I think I kind of came to the conclusion just to like stick out the awkward like middle phase, and then once it gets long enough where I'm like, all right, bet it's long enough, I'll like even it all out, because I got this like ponytail up here, so I still got my like longer hair up there. And when I cut my hair, I still had some of the I didn't think it was gonna be there, but I had some of like the blonde still from when I had colored it. So after I cut my hair, I realized that like, because I realized that I was getting like a negative perception, or just life was negative, right? In some ways, like obviously, like there's death and different ways, but it was like, I'm not feeling the, like I'm not getting good energy put towards me, right? And whether it's because I'm not willing to receive it, or I'm just only asking for the negative, or I'm walking around the dark clouds, so then now my cloud goes over other people's days and whatever might be the case. But I realized that throughout those times, I was just, life was, I had been down and whatever, and this and that for different reasons. And if you really break it down, I think it was disappointment, and not from one thing, but from like stacks and stacks over years, since like 2020, so 2020 all the way to 2025, it's like 5 years of like, you know every year just more and more like disappointment, all while pushing through and like being positive and pursuing the music. And ended up starting this. And I did the stand up best man speech, at my brother's wedding. And I'm like, oh, like shit, that could be a lane to tap into. People afterwards were like, oh, like you're getting the positive affirmations from it. So something that I shouldn't shy away, but I haven't tapped back into that, and it's almost been a year now. Now obviously, now also it was a spontaneous thing, but because it was spontaneous and it did work out well, maybe it's something to consider over time, or maybe it's something that's not so in current time, but when I get that like feeling, ride it. And I think for a while I was getting to the point where, because I was always very much like active in sports, but when I first started getting like, or opening up creatively, and artistry or whatever, it kind of got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm feeling creative. Let me go to the studio and make music, which was good because I needed to do that. But at the same time, I realized that, because sometimes I'll go in there and then nothing really happens. And then you kind of feel like, oh, damn, I just wasted that, whatever that was, that creative energy, that whatever, that inspiration. And now I realize that maybe, not that I have a palette, and I have different colors, and whatever that I might be feeling, like there might be, oh yeah, so if I'm feeling creative, it's what color is it? Like, should I do a podcast? Should I work on some jokes? Should I work on the movie? Should I work on the video? Should I work on music? Should I work on something that surrounds the entire umbrella, or the whole fleet, for instance? Those That's what I've kind of been learning, feeling out what like each feeling is, to be like, okay, I should do this or I should do that. So then in January I cut my hair, boom, you know, uh the funeral was in January. So then once that happened, I was like, okay, cool. When I get back from that, I'm gonna start the pod up. It's the top of the year. I'm a few behind. I can catch up. Boom. That's the mentality I have, because I always know, like, even though I haven't done one since August, I have thought about it more weeks than not. There's been a few weeks where I haven't thought about it at all, but there's been more often than not, I've been thinking about, oh, I should do a pod. Oh, I should do this. I should do one. I should do one. I should do one. And it was just kind of getting to the point where I was actually ready, even where this room changed, where we took the couches out and we did some change, and then these futons came back and it felt more like the pod vibe. And I'm like, all right, So overall, all on the way up until now, that's why I feel like it's like season 3 or chapter 3, because it's like we took some things from each of these times and periods, and now we're here. Like we got the sign, we got the, boom, we got this table, same equipment, right? So it's like through the different stages, we've grabbed some things. And then even now where it's like I'm looking around trying to figure out, okay, if this is the angle and if that's the angle, what can we put so that there's, some more flair to the scene where it's like maybe there's a Pokemon there, or maybe, something where it's not just so much like the sign in the wall and whatever, where it's like obviously like a room versus like a studio, you know? But that's just some observation that I have right now just because it's been a while and it's a new, not same space, but new purpose, right? But when I got back from Canada after the funeral, you know, oh, actually, I should probably bring this in. So when I was there, I was, on a vibe, and it was like 2 days before my grandmother's funeral. And throughout this time, we had been going, like when we drove up to bring the baby to my grandmother, we went through like all almost all the places of our past, like where I used to live, where we were born, like and we all drove together. So it was kind of like, it was like, almost like retracing my steps, or like going through, just remembering the places I've been and the things I've done, and all these different things. And then it culminated. I went to the Leafs game. I went to a Ravens game. I went to the Ravens playoff game. Then I went to the Leafs game. So, and then the Ravens lost to the Bills, which sucked. But there's so many things I seen come with my friends. Boom, boom. So then it got to like 2 days before the funeral, and mind you, I was supposed to also get my grandmother's car. So when we went up there with the baby, I ended up staying another like week and a half and just like visiting her some more and hanging out with my cousins and whatever. And then, but and not only that, when I was ready to leave, there was like a storm coming through New York. So my dad was like, I mean, he's just looking out and trying to make sure that, we're safe and whatever. So I'm not mad at him at all, obviously, but there was a point where he was just like, oh, there's a storm coming, you should go, through Detroit instead of going across where they live. And I'm like, all right, that's fine, whatever. And he was just like, we're just worrying, just like parents might do or whatever. And then, so then me and my sister drove all the way through Canada, all the way to Detroit. And when we got there, we got stopped at the border, and the car doesn't have the necessary sticker because it was made in Canada to drive in the United States, and you have to like get the sticker for it. So the dude's like, oh, no worries, but you can just go to the dealer. Okay, the dealer's closed. So then we got to spend a night in Windsor, right? And then after driving 7 hours, then in the morning I wake up early morning, go to the dealer. The dude like knows. It seems like this guy knows what he's talking about. And I'm like, okay, bet. And he's like, I need this form. So you got to call. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I go in the car. I try to call, since I'm the grandson and whatnot. I couldn't do anything. So then I had to have my dad call. So then my dad ends up getting the paper sent to me. Cool, boom. I walk back in. The dude sees me, and he's like, and I told him everything that, like, where I'm currently at, like why I'm here, boom, boom. And then he was just like, he's like helping someone out, so I'm waiting for him. And then next thing you know, he goes back into the back, and then the lady's like, oh, were you waiting for him? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, he just went on his lunch break. I'm like, bro, what? So then she's like, oh, I can help you. So then I go through, explain everything to her, show her the paper. She's like, cool, woo, woo. And the guy earlier was like, "Oh, just get that paper, then we can get you scheduled, all good." And I'm like, cool. So go through the loops to get the papers, to get the whatever. I come back, um, tell the lady after he goes on lunch break, tell her everything. Boom. She's like, okay, you actually still need a second. They only sent you the one paper. You need this other paper. I'm like, oh my god, of course, fucking course I do, right? So then, uh, I'm like, okay, well, since I had to get this other paper, and I all on the meanwhile, there's these cars just like coming in, like on rotation. I'm like, all right, they're obviously busy. So let me get on this list so that by the time I'm ready, you're ready to see my car, then I have this paperwork. So they're like, all right, uh, um, she's like, yeah, let me, all right. She's like, the next appointment is next week. I'm like, yo, wait, next week? She's like, yeah. I'm like, why did the guy make it seem like I can do it today? She's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, oh my God. So now I've driven 7 hours to the border, got denied, stayed the night because the guy was like, oh, it's easy. Boom, stay the night, go. They're like, the guy's like, makes it seem at the dealer, makes it seem I can do it today, So I got a sign from the border that said that it's gonna be easy. A sign from the dealer that said it's not gonna be easy, but it can still get done today. Then I come back and now I'm getting a sign that it actually can't be done until next week, and I didn't have the paper anyway. So I'm like, oh my God. So I could have been on the way back to my cousin's house by now, right? But so then we drive all the way back and fucking uh get get to my cousin's house, and then end up having to rent a car across the border. So then my uncle drives across the border, and meanwhile they live like 40 minutes from the border. So we could have driven 40 minutes and got denied instead of driving like fucking 7 hours. Meanwhile, the whole trip takes like 18. So I literally pretty much drove the whole trip already. So we left on Thursday, and then we got back, drove all the way, and then drove all the way back. Now I'm back at my cousin's house on Friday. I'm like, oh my God, bro. So then we get the rental car, drive down, and on the way home, we get the call that she had passed away. So it was like, so overall, just so much stuff. So on top of like what I had been going throughout the year, and all the disappointments stacking up, then it was like, okay, I'm about to get this car with 11,000 miles. That's my grandmother's, and then she ended up passing away. So whatever, but that's something to have from her. It's gonna get me to my next point in life, And then I drive 7 hours because my dad's worried about the winter storm. Get denied. Had to drive all the way back, 14 hours. Then, so I'm not gonna get the car. Then we rent a car, drive back, and then it snows. So then I'm really in the winter storm anyway. So I really could have just, all coulda, shoulda, wouldas, right? And then at the time, my dad's like, "Oh, you should have just went to the border, like near them." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You literally." You literally painted this like fear narrative for like 4 or 5, like a week, and then yeah, crazy, right? So then I'm like, all right, well, okay, well, then I get home, then I'm like, okay, well, I gotta do the pod. I should do the pod, but I'm going back whole weeks. Okay, I'll just start it when I get back. Cut my hair, boom, boom, go to the funeral, and then 2 days before the funeral, that's where I segue back to what I was talking about. I was on a vibe at my cousin's house, and I was outside, even though it was cold. I didn't care, and I was just, and was thinking about my grandmother, I was like, damn, like, I was thinking about my grandmother, and I was like, damn, I'm sad, and I was like, I'm actually sad. This is like sadness of like, you feel sadness, and it was different than like what I had been, like, this feeling that had like the dark cloud and the whatever. It was different than that. Like, it wasn't self-induced, because like, even though the dark cloud came from disappointment from many different things over time, and what had accumulated throughout last year, it's still your choice, your perspective. It's all about your perspective and how you look at it. Like, I could have had the perspective of like, oh, what it like, even though these people disappointed me, or I'm disappointed about certain things or a certain way things turned out, like, instead of it, I could have just taken the approach of like, well, it is what it is, and time to move forward. And now it's easier said than done, but as a reality. So it was self, and even though you could put blame on why the cloud was so big or whatever on different things, or you can point, I can go back and kind of pinpoint where it started to accumulate and why it got so heavy. And but it was still self-induced. It's like it's not real sadness. It's like, I guess, depression or whatever. But I don't want to say like I was depressed. I just feel like I was subdued from, my normal frequency. So so I'm just gonna skip the intermission. 2-0. Damn, if Florida wins this, that's gonna suck, dude. That means the Leafs could have won. No, I'm just kidding. But so I'm thinking about my grandmother. I'm like, oh damn, I'm sad. This is different than what I've been feeling. And I'm like, why am I so sad? And I'm like, oh, because my grandmother died. Yeah, but I'm like, okay, why though? And I realized that it's because of all the joy that she had brought me over the years. And yeah, as the last few years kind of weren't as joyous as the first 24, 25, doesn't take away from what it was. So all the joy that she had brought me along the way, and then at that moment I had realized that that is what I had lost all some time ago, was joy. And now I hold on to joy like it's nothing else that matters more in some ways, because I know without joy I'm not me. I'm not Ryan. Like, I need joy. I can't be negative or down all the time. Like, yeah, life goes in waves and things happen, but at the same time it's like that's not my frequency. So I need joy. So then when I got home, I was like, boom, new energy. I had like, all right, new year. It's the beginning of the new year. It's January. It's like middle of January now. Like, I cut my hair. Like, I got this new energy. I remember I'm feeling joy. I'm feeling good, right? And then, but when I was saying about my hair, I still had some of like the blonde left. So I realized that even though I tried to like let go of a bunch of stuff, the negative perception and all these different things, like a lot of that did happen. Like the negative perception switched at work and whatever, but I'll get to that. So, but I still had some of that blonde. So there's still something, like I hadn't got rid of everything, or I haven't let go of everything. And, but then I go back to work. And when I went back to work, I realized that work, like the state of work was not good. Like, it was negative, and I was pretty much on the brink of, getting fired. Not because I'm not a good worker, or because of like, I was, I guess, negative, and people were saying that, they don't want to work with me and blah, blah, blah. But also at the same time, there's other influences that, kind of, to me, it feels like almost like a plot in some way. But that's a while ago, right? So I'm not going to speak much more on that. But anyway, so when I got home, it's like, okay, I'm feeling good. But then all of a sudden, like, my environment isn't good anymore. Like, there's turmoil at work, and I need to be able to go to work and whatever, and boom, boom. So then I ended up spending the next few months like focused on that. And also Jason and I were we basically made or edited Fire Red and Leaf Green, and made and added, the first 4 generations of Pokemon, and an extra storyline, and just a couple of things that we pretty much at the end of it, and it's just gonna take a couple hours of time to really finish it. But so we got really close, but then it started getting too close to now, the summertime, where Jason has always been like, he's had the plan where now, like, we're starting to release music again. And honestly, where we kind of started with putting music out every week, and, Jason had started, well, Oceans on Arrival, when we evolved to that, to where we are now in Oceans on Arrival, and the entity of, that existing in the world. it started with dropping One King album, a little EP, and then Nature like album EP on the 1st of January 2020, and then we put out music every week for the first few months of the year, and then COVID hit, and then we took the songs and we made 4 albums worth of songs, and then the Tide was made as well, and that was the 5th like installment. Then we went to California. We made California Light Up the Sky, and those came out the next year. And then we went around the country. I made my album, made another album. You know, Jason had a kid, more on the way. Like so like just life was like happening all on the way to, you know, and then we haven't dropped music in a year pretty much now. So now it's that time. So we had worked on the program for whatever, but it was kind of time to like shift. And then also something else, another part of life kind of came back around, and I had to deal with those. And still, I'm still not fully resolved on, not fully resolved, but I'm still just like trying to navigate emotions or feelings of, throughout the whole situation, throughout everything to even now, So, but at the same time, it's not negative, It's just more or less like just searching for, peace and just trying to figure out what's the right way to move forward and how, just different, ways to coexist with multiple different people, uh so that kind of, so all that kind of happened. So that also helped segue from the Pokemon game. So we have to, it's sometime soon, probably once we get the urge to like play it, like, oh, I really want to play that, then we'll go and finish it. So it's close to getting done though. It's pretty much done, honestly. Like it could, like if we wanted to, we could just release it or send it out to whoever wanted to play it now. But it's like all the work we did, like might as well put that last polish on it, So, but all that kind of unfolded, and then now the past couple of weeks, I was like, okay, I really am ready to do the pod. I should do one. But then, we changed the furniture, and just a couple of things had kind of happened to the point where it was like it didn't happen up until now, But that's literally how it's supposed to go. Like even all the shit from last year, all the stuff that happened this year, everything's happened exactly how it's supposed to go, and I'm aware of that. It's just, and I'm the best therapist I can have, because I like things that I would tell other people in the situation, I tell myself, but it's just now it's not so much about hearing it, but accepting it and utilizing it. And sometimes sometimes you just want to like, why me, or why not, or whatever. But I think for the most part, like, all the disappointment from before has kind of turned to understanding, and that's where I kind of was able to shift, while finding joy and all this stuff. It kind of made me understand things a lot more, and also realizing that the biggest thing was removing pressure, like internal pressure, external pressure, pressure on others, pressure on the pod, like so many things like that. Like, life is gonna bring natural pressures to move you or to produce diamonds or whatever, So, but there's no reason to add any more or unnecessary. And I think that, like, part of the reason I was disappointed in some ways is because the pressure I put on others to fulfill something or to whatever, and but now I realize now, like, removing the pressure from individuals that you might want to, like, for something to go a certain way, or in different things, it's like, oh, they didn't do that, so now I'm like, oh, disappointed by them. But it's like they never had to do it. No one ever has to do it. Like, there's no one really owes me anything, even though I'm super generous and I give, but I never expect anything back. So like, no one really owes me anything for real. you know. So, but I think just borderline like respect is, if I respect someone, they might like, you want the respect back. And, I do want to be honest and open with people, and especially who are around in your circle. Like, everyone should be open and honest. That way, you know, people can understand each other and whatever. And I think that's part of it too. Like, just not really getting the space to speak all the time, or to like hear, or just wondering what other people might feel or think or whatever. So that's why it's good to have the pod, because then we could, chop it up. But some people don't really want to speak, in public, or have it be not so private, But that's why I feel like overall, like, this is like the third chapter, third season, because one, like, beforehand, I've like kind of taken things all in the way, and now it's back to, let's get back to the root of it and then expand forward. And, it's all like, it's all good. Like, it's all love, you know, and I'm not mad about how everything turned out. Like, I'm not, oh, I wasted all those months not doing a pod. Like, I just feel like, I wasn't in the space to do one, and it wasn't going to go in a positive direction. It was just going to be maybe more of the same, and maybe, it was better to be gone for some months and be like, oh, where is he at? Versus like, oh, there he is. Oh, hopefully turns it around, shit like that. So for me, I'm like, at this point, I'm like I'm in a good space, we're back in the studio, we're releasing music, back in the studio, doing the pod, you know, doing like getting back. The vacation went longer than I thought, but now it's over, and I'm back for good. We're here to, we're back to pursuing the dreams, trying to get to a place where maybe I don't have to go to the job every week, and it's like I can do this a couple times a week. And as of late, I have gotten like some people I've heard, like, it's been bubbling where it's like, oh, I would like to be on the podcast, or I'm, in multiple different, not only people, but also from different areas of my life that those people have made, or that connection kind of grew or incepted there. So that and that for me was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's time. So now I'm like, now it's back to if I have to do one on a solo trip, cool, I'm gonna do one. And at the time, but the pressure to put one out, that it's coming to come out every week, but the pressure for me to catch up to, for it to be one a week for the whole 2 years or whatever, it's like that pressure is gone. I am aware of what number we're on still, and I used to say them every time. You're like, oh, well, this is Ocean Waves number, episode, whatever. But also I realize now that, or I not realize now, but I knew that inevitably I'd have to inevitably stop it, because if I had a guest that might want to wait 2 weeks to put, I don't want to go out of order or this and that. So now, starting now, and it's like, okay, it's like a new season or whatever, I can kind of drop that and be like, okay, on the title, still have what episode it is, it'd be linear, but maybe I can record one now and save it for 2 weeks and put it out, or this and that. So honestly, just removing the pressure is a huge learning lesson for me, and then now that, and also that it's not like, oh, well, remove pressure from everything. It's like I still see in moments I'm like, oh shit, I'm pressuring this, and then I try to, what's done is done. I can't go back and change it or anything, and not that I would, but it's like I'm still, certain things I'm still trying to just remove pressures from, and but so in the next few weeks we'll probably have some guests on here. The next one I'll have Jason on here. He can tell you what he's been doing. I just wanted to like get like a little session in of me saying where I've been, what's been going on. For those of you who are new, like, thanks for listening. This is I appreciate you. This is the podcast, Ocean Waves. For those of you who came back and have been waiting to hear my voice again or to see what's been going on, like I really do appreciate you. Even though it might not be a crazy amount of people watching, like when I still see that people are watching here and there, it's like, gives you, it's like, okay, even if one person got something out of this, like that's like that's all right. That's we fulfilled purpose, you know. So it's still the same core of and root of natural conversation that is free flowing, free ideas, and I already have good conversations already on the day to day, so let's put them out and hopefully other people can resonate with them or might have an opinion on them, or it might help you think help you think about something that you thought about last week. Oh yeah, like you might be able to segue, all those things. And in the beginning, I told them I was trying to get everyone to like bring a topic just so that it wouldn't be like stale. But then after a while, I was like, you don't need like, if you're, whatever you're just like thinking about, like you don't need, oh, I want to think about this specific thing or talk about this specific thing. It's like, oh, I've been thinking about this, or, naturally, like you don't have, but I could see it kind of got a little like not scripty, but like, oh, like almost like if we were like a television network, it's like, oh, we're going to have these talking points and whatever, and kind of like too much on that. And to Jason's point, like there should be like segments of the pod, like, and I did have some like reading the comments until there's one day there's gonna be too many comments or too many negative ones, so trolls or whatever, but to read them. But for now, it's like a little thing, and maybe I'll do that. Think about that, like start maybe trying to incorporate some segments or at least get the core couple and do that. So yeah, definitely way more expansion, way more evolution to go, you know. But it's not just the beginning, but it's a new beginning, and it's all good, But soon there'll be guests on here. I have more conversations with other people, and hopefully it expands and grows, and we can go on someone else's podcast, or someone who a lot of people want to listen to come on this one, you know. And eventually I want to get the studio, and I said this before, so anyone who's watched before, like, you can probably pick up on like certain things like, okay, yeah, like, but at the same time, it's like, if you really want to see this shit from the beginning, you can go watch episode 1 and see like the progression and see how we even got to this point now. And like, even that, like, we put that up today and it's a little crooked, and now, but when I look at it, I'm like, you know what? It's a little crooked, but this is what I think when I see it. I'm like, it's not perfect, but that's not the point. The point is that it exists and that it's here. And and I'm like, yes. It's not supposed to be perfect. I do want to have a podcast out every week, but I didn't. Doesn't mean that it's going to take away from anything in the future. It's just that I understand now more, and I know even now spinning here, it's like how much time has gone, I don't even know, but I'm like, damn, like, yes, this is something that aligns with me and resonates with me, and I should be doing. And I don't think I wasted any time or whatever. I think that I was going through life. It was a long year for me for different reasons, and now I feel I'm on the other side of it, and I don't plan on going back into that mode, and and still shit still disappoints me here and there or whatever, but it doesn't bring my whole day down. It's just like almost like a pendulum. Like, I'll be here for a little bit, and I'll swing back, and everything's all good. Don't trip. Everything's straight. Everything happens how it's supposed to happen. Cool. So that's where I'm at now. I'm feeling good. I hope you enjoyed this pod anyway. And it's just me rambling about where I've been and stuff, but it's like, yeah, I just didn't want to put out the pod every week or every other week and be like, oh, how I'm catching up, and I did all that already, and I didn't want to like, I don't want, like, I want it to be like people understand, like, this is something serious that I do, And this is something that's not like a hobby. It's actually has real purpose and intention behind it, and uh and room for growth. And I felt like if it would be disrespectful for the craft and for Oceans on Arrival and for myself and for even and for you guys, whoever's watching and listening, because I'm like, oh, if I'm presenting like, oh, it's coming out every week, and then every other week it comes out, or every whatever, and then each one, and it's not really anything particularly too great, just me telling you, oh, where I've been for the last 2 weeks, like nah, I didn't want to do that. I knew that when the podcast returned, because it was like the second hiatus that happened, so that's why it felt like the end of season 2, and this is season 3. I knew that I didn't think it was gonna go this long, but I knew that when I restarted, it had to be when I was ready to continue to put it out every week, for it to be legit, and for it to start, and for it to have the correct foundation and overall energy behind it. And I don't view the Ocean Waves as just like me spewing all my thoughts and feelings. I think that I'm the host of it, and so I have to navigate the conversation in some way to kind of push it from one place to another, or to maybe get the most out of the conversation that we can. So I know that I have to set it up, and I'll be editing it and all that stuff. So I know that there's a lot of work that goes in, and it does rely on me, but it's not just about me. There's going to be other people that come on here and speak their opinion. We'll have good conversation, and really I just want to create a platform for people to speak freely and honestly, and we can just have conversation, because that's something that I enjoy, and and I like to be, and I want to be able to speak, and I want to be able to talk to people, and I want people to listen to me, and I want to be able to listen to other people. At the end of the day, it's like we're trying to help the world grow, help individuals realize who they are and pursue their dreams and fulfill purpose, all that. That's the baseline, So, I also have to do those things and be that. Can't just talk and not do it, Otherwise people stop believing you. So, that's why I didn't want it to be, I don't know. I had to be the right time. And I thought when I got back from Canada that in January that it was, but then when the work shit was messed up, I was like, it's just, let me get, I've already taken this long, let me get right, and then, took me till now. Took me now to get right enough to be able to come here, speak on the mic, in start kickoff season 3, chapter 3, But I think deep down, disappointment became understanding. I'm on, I'm moving forward to, better days, and, much more. Like I feel at home again, And I still wish that there's certain conversations that would open up to it, not because I want to go in any certain direction, but the not having a conversation is, I feel like no matter how like there's no outcome from conversation in this particular area, in a couple particular areas, that I think would result in a super negative outcome. That is, that would be worse than, sitting in silence and just trying to think about what's happening or what's going on or what they're, I don't know. I like to communicate. I'd rather be open and honest, and, that's who I am. But it's all right. Everything happens for a reason. No pressure. No pressure. Whatever happens, happens. However it's supposed to happen will happen in the way it's supposed to happen. and everything's gonna be okay. And I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm here on the earth. I'm alive. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to continue having opportunity to progress, better myself, and share and spread love throughout the world, and hopefully help inspire and influence others to do the same, so that we have a world more connected and more open, instead of, more apart and more self-driven, focus on money and all that, which obviously is external pressure and created ideas in society. But we need money to survive. So there's so many different lanes and so many different things, and I could sit here all night and talk, which is why, that's why we have this platform, to be able to speak. And I also realize that I do enjoy having other people around to speak to, because then the conversation, we can bounce ideas off, and it's not solely maybe on my personal life or whatever. I can, kind of get out of my personal life and just kind of speak in a worldly view, which I can do here too. But, because I'm speaking to myself, which inevitably becomes whoever listens, it's still kind of like almost like I'm talking in the mirror. So, but I hope I kind of touch base on a little bit of everything, for those of you who are new, and for those of you who are not new and returning, viewers and fans and friends, family. I appreciate you for listening and watching, and yeah, without, if I got 0 views, then I don't know how many I'll do. Might just become a personal vlog, but if at least get 1 view, then it's all good. And maybe one will turn into many more. So, but either way, however happens is supposed to happen. No pressure, and but I think that's all I got for now. I think that was good. So, my name is Ryan, Indigo Ryan the Navigator, part of Oceans on Arrival. Go check out Oceans on Arrival music if you haven't. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your music from. We got it up there. We put out songs for the past 2 weeks. We got one coming out tomorrow for those of you who see this today. And we got music coming out for the foreseeable future. Much more content and much more things to come from Oceans on Arrival. So it's safe to say that we're back in the swing of things, back, making the push for our dreams, and that's where we're at. And I guess to leave off summary, I would just say that overall, I'm good. I'm in a great place. I'm a man enough to admit that I was not in the best place last year. I'm aware that even though I was able to, sometimes push that aside and still push through, that there was this self-induced, cloud over me, which was from the lack of joy in my life, and and from disappointment. But now I know I have some more understanding. So a lot of the disappointment has switched to understanding, and we're not perfect. We're still moving forward, but we are moving forward, and we're getting better. And I'm happy to be back, and I feel like I'm in a good spot, and it's not like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna be in a bad spot. It's like, nah, we're back, we're here, we're ready to jump on the mic, spit thoughts, spit feelings, ones that can help influence, have great conversations with others, and yeah, just continue living and pursuing the dream, spreading love, spreading the message, keeping it real, being truthful, and trying to be a good role model, example, influence leader. That's what we're here trying to do, or are doing. And yeah. So if you take anything from this pod, I would say the biggest thing is to think about pressure and remove unnecessary pressures from your life, and to remove pressures from other people that you put on them, from yourself that might be too much pressure to bear, and there's no reason for you to, go through that. Just really think about pressure. And yes, life will bring external pressures into your life to push you in certain directions, or to produce things that need to be produced. But those should be the main pressures in your life. You shouldn't, put pressures on other people, and you shouldn't put too much pressure on yourself that's unnecessary, because all it's going to lead to is disappointment or unfulfillment, and things are going to happen how they're supposed to happen. And for me, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm the best I can be each day, and that I'm getting better, and that I do what's right and not what's wrong. And yeah, but that's where I'm at. I hope everyone who's watching this pod had a good day today. Is having a good day. Is happy that you see Ocean Waves back in the world. So, much love. Anyone who's a new viewer and got all the way here, much love to you. Very much appreciate it. Hope I'll probably have Jason on next, or Jason will probably be in the next pod, so be more of a back and forth conversation, and then we'll try to get these guests on here, and we'll try to keep expanding, keep growing, and we'll see where it goes. But this is the Ocean Waves podcast. Look out for new music tomorrow, and I think I said in the beginning, I'll post the little clip. I'll post a little clip with the thanks for watching that I usually do, and I'll put the music that's coming out tomorrow on there. But I'll fast me trying to figure out the freaking mic situation. So showing you the rush, showing you, we're transparent over here, and and I'm happy that you can go back and watch everything from the beginning, because in 5 years even you'll be like, damn, that's where we started and this is where we're at now. So that's what's up. Yeah, we'll talk. We got more to talk about, but we'll talk about that later. So hope you have a good day, good weekend. Much love to everyone who's watching. Much love to everyone who sees this in the future, and much love to you. So thank you so much. I'm Ryan. Catch you next time. Peace.
Find a way to breathe. Yeah. It's time to light 'em up. Yeah. It's time to light 'em up, spark 'em if you got 'em. We about to level up, and there ain't no doubt about it. Can't return to what it was. All comes down to where we're headed, and the world just needs some love. Come to find that I'm the plug. What's up? My mind is drifting, I'm shifting through different visions, so vivid it's hard to miss them. Try to talk but they don't listen. You hear some? Always caught in the middle. See both sides, so I feel you. Don't be shy, I'll be gentle. I shine my light, got the way through all these stages and phases. It's up to you to face it, but no, I got the faith in you. Don't give up on your greatness, takes patience. Tune into my station, know I'll be there for you. Hope this song gon' reach your playlist. So what you stand for, what you gotta stand on. Can't escape the mirror, my reflection show I'm reborn. The phoenix rose from the ashes to bridge connection of masses. Through use of voice and its passions, we light 'em up like it's magic.
Started off fucking with fire, I thought I could die, but ended up rolling to one. I ain't no regular guy, but I ain't surprised when they only see me as dumb. Halo on top of my head, the wings on my back, I'm him, I do what I want. Look in my eyes to see if you fed, I know what my fate is, I carry my A. These are not rhymes, they stanzas. Chakras, they moving in tandem. You live illusion of cameras. I live the truth till they blame us. How the fuck do they blame us? Ain't nobody here to train us. Doors locked, I know I'm not safe, gotta stay dangerous. I came up and I helped out, and I ain't talking about money or fame. I'm talking about building up confidence. Those who are around you but lack the accomplishment. Promise that progress and store the incompetence. All it's gonna take is just a chance. Jump over the feet like I'm doing my dance, and put your cleats on when they fuck with your bands. I'm ready for war or peace, whatever may come release. And whether I'm poor or rich, I'm still gonna provide, I eat. And it ain't that long for something you learn to turn to something you teach. I carry the scars, I came here with God. It starts the moment you breathe. Promises turn into dust and ashes. You put my card and you crashing, Commas that stack up on top of my page, they turn into commas I'm cashing, So many numbers that blink on my screen. I seen the matrix collapsing, Reading the prophecy, El Gaib to free the people in masses, Oceans on arrival, please do not fuck up my accent, I take my spot, I ain't asking, You begging forgiveness, you passive, I ain't up skipping some classes, I see they live, you need glasses, I am not fit for the captain, I can read all of your captions, See on my chest, I'm the captain, Or you can tell when they practice, Either you code or you cracking, Either you write or you acted. Hit the ball out of sand lot. Hit them all, I stand by. Stand 10 feet tall, back on that wall. God, don't pray about it. Call the kettle black, I ain't afraid of that. Still bury my last body. Split unbreakable, not mistakable. How Jai crush glass bodies. Say, ooh. Used to be scaling and ducking police. When they got burned, they were telling on me. When I got burned, I ain't telling with them. Lost a few friends, but ain't nothing to me. Be disrespectful, I give you a neck for the choke, and I know that I'm who you want be. I fucked your bitch in the back of the room. Are you asking for you or you asking for me? They don't want war with the Martian. Better off picking a sign up in March and kill you from April to March. And then I'ma charge you. Cost of the roads that I carve you. Carve you a hole in your head like it's Halloween. Show you the places you never been. You pay for God with a pedo fee. I came from Gaza and Romani. Dipsy, my language don't bother me. Jedi be teaching the Padawan. Come from the crown, you gon' die by king. Step in this bitch with my Wabaki. You hit the trap, I pull Wabaku. Promise there's nothing you couldn't do. I'll end up headlining Bonnaroo. You'll end up pissing your pot to poo. I cannot deal with the bit of you. I just know how to get rid of you. I seen your type in the middle school. Natty bows and them Betty boobs. Give me a beat, I can levy loop. Detroit heritage, MD roots. Came up battling the heady groups. Pitter patter just to get some cooch. I know that I'm better, the proof in the pudding. I know that it's dead cause I cooked it myself. Know that I'm better than who got a belt. I know that you hate cause you know that I'm felt. Most of them Velcro. Most skill in my steel toe. Kick rocks, throw elbows. Play it fair, get your tail broke. Well, mine's still intact. Monkey still on your back. Monkey wrenching your plans. Monkey see, monkey do. I ain't nothing like you. You ain't cut from the same cloth I cut from my dude. I'm not like you. My energy off the charts. Fuck what they talk about art. All of them all entertainers. None of them ain't got no heart. I've been like this from the start. I told you I nail every dart. Your pussies are stuck in the dark. I told you to fill in your part. I told you I'm Davey but still got my heart. I carry these souls to the ark. Part of the crew to ship you apart. The guru depart. It's Simpson but it ain't regular Bart. Whoa.
Holy shit, dude. God damn. It took so fucking long. Took so long, dude. Oh my god. Alright.